law alone end dowry and dowry deaths?
2025, imagine, dowry is still killing women.
How has dowry become the dark truth behind Indian marriages?
Allegedly due to dowry-related harassment by her husband and in-laws.
A mother kills her child and then kills herself.
And why the dowry deaths are only seeing long investigation and rare conviction where we need actual eradication of this problem. Every 75 minutes, a woman is killed in India. It is not by strangers, it is usually the family in which she is married into. I'm not going to talk about statistics because this is a national shame. And what is further more shameful is that it has long investigation and very rare conviction that takes place in such cases. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh. Today we are going to talk about dowry deaths and the haunting number around it, the causes and the reasons why dowry still exists in India. When we talk about dowry death, first thing that you would need to understand here is the fact that it is not just the death itself, it could have been in any form. It comes from burns, it comes from suicide, it could be bodily harm that has been done, and it is related to continuous dowry related harassment which is carried out by the husband or the family members associated. This is not something uncommon, and it is almost present every day in Indian news when we are talking about this. But when we are talking about dowry deaths, the more haunting thing here is the number that is present. When we are talking about the number itself, on an average we get to see 7,000 deaths which are reported every year. And what is more haunting is the fact that it could be double the number because there are multiple unreported cases that we see in our country. The incidence is such that the highest burden lies in the states such as Uttar Pradesh, such as Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Haryana, Punjab. But this is not uncommon across the country. The only region that I can safely say is lesser prominent for such news comes from the Seven Sisters area. Other than that, what is more worrisome is the fact when we talk about these cases, the conviction rate is less than 2%. That means even if these reports make it to the FIR and finally into the case, the conviction rate is less than 2%, and there are long investigation wherein many people and many girls already give up. It is not just this that is haunting, that is prudent for us to understand, that is shameful for us to understand, but also the fact, the cause behind it, dowry itself, that it still exists in India, and it seems like that it will not go any day soon. Now the question that arises that why it has this cultural acceptance that we see in front of us. It has this cultural acceptance because of the very simple fact that there is normalization where we see marriage as a transaction. In earlier times, if we talk about the origin of this very practice, it was based on the fact that females lacked legal rights in terms of inheritance, and this was a way of showing them that they belong to the family and their money was given to the new family that they went off to. But gradually this practice has turned to rather giving money to the girl or the women, it has become a practice where you are paying off the in-laws and the husbands, and it is being demanded now. So when we talk about the normalization, it is not just in terms of marriage as a transaction, but also the family's honor is very much associated with this very practice. And furthermore, in many communities, it is regarded as a tradition. It is told that it is a customary gift and nobody sees the horror that lies behind it. Furthermore, when we talk about persistence of dowry, another big reason that we see is the fact that there are economic motives that are lying behind it. Just now I explained that when Europe was gradually developing, this practice eradicated. But in India, over the time, we have seen persistence of this practice. We can see it in the given graph here. that across, if we take the data from 2009 to 19, the numbers are still pretty much similar to what we see at the present time. And if we are taking this marginal discount in number, it is only can be attributed to underreporting as well as stigma that is associated with dowry, being divorced, being single after marriage. Now going back to understanding that what are the economic motives that still fuel dowry. When we talk about economic motives, one simple thing that we notice that the groom is treated as a commodity, which is another problem that we see coming out of patriarchy. And we also find that this dowry is seen rather as a return on investment which has been done on the groom. It is also used to elevate the social standing of the family. Again, we are totally missing out on the horrors that dowry presents, but the fact that why it is persisting. Other than that, patriarchy and gender bias, the fact that the females are inferior and they are looking, families want them to be married in a better off family, is what is exactly fueling this. Assuming that females cannot contribute economically as the males is what is that fueling. And the legal enforcement that is in shambles and the social silence and stigma and fear associated with it facilitates the persistence of dowry. There are many understandings, many research papers which have been done which are still limited to give us an insight why India is not able to get rid of this practice. But in multiple understandings, you have to understand that dowry itself is an impact that not only is causing havoc in the social structures, but at the level of the family, it influences financial decisions. Because if there is a girl which is born in a family, then they have to save up for dowry. It also leads to situations like female infanticide, female feticide, sex selective abortions, and you can understand that dowry is the root cause of multiple social problems that we are seeing. Be it sex selective abortion, be it female infanticide, be it dowry deaths, be it harassment that takes place in the name of dowry. And all this is not just understandable. If you have to explain that how it affects the financial decisions, we can look at this graph, we can look at the research paper where it has been clearly shown as many times gold price hike is seen, there has been increase in girls relative to boy mortality. That means sex selective abortions and infanticides in females has hiked whenever there is gold price increase. That clearly shows that the burden of dowry is so much prevalent across our country. Other than that, there have been also reasons that if we talk about that India has not been able to eradicate dowry, it also comes from the fact that other castes or in general the lower castes is trying to mirror what upper caste is doing. Then in that scenario also it is misunderstood, because if we see the marriage rate and with increase in dowry which we have seen over years, it can be mirrored in all the castes which are present. So if we look at this particular graph, you will find that all the castes that are present, they have shown similar increase. And this is more worrisome for us because as of now, India has not been able to eradicate it. There are so many reasons. I would like to ask you here, what are the reasons that you think at your end which are responsible for preservance of such a horrible practice in our country till date? But what is more worrisome is the fact that the outcome where we are seeing of dowry is death. There are multiple outcomes associated with it. One such outcome is death. And in such outcomes, when we are expecting justice, that is also not available to females. We are saying multiple reasons because of which such cases are not getting the attention that is required at their end. And what is the reason? Let us understand that there is such rare conviction. So we will be looking into reasons into threefold. The first fold is the socio-cultural factors which are facilitating this rare conviction. When we talk about hypergamy, we have to understand this is a practice where there is push for upward marriage. That means a girl is usually wanted to marry in a better household, which is directly fueling the rare conviction. In a recent Tamil Nadu case, it was a High Court judge who was pressurizing to take away the case from his own daughter-in-law, and it could be resolved at their end. This is such an example when there is upward marriage, how it is leading to the fact that there are rare convictions. Other than that, status symbol. Dowry is used to gain prestige and wealth, and there is stigma and silence associated with it. That is why families prefer not to complain, because there will be a lot of judgment and societal shame that would be coming in. Then if we look into the next dimension which affects the rare conviction, is the fact there are institutional weaknesses itself. So when we are talking about institutional weaknesses, we usually find that charge sheeting is limited. Only 65% of FIRs are converted into formal charges, and if they are not being converted into formal charges, that means the rest 35% are not even being seen. There is slow justice. 90% of cases are still pending and conviction is delayed for years. And then we also have police apathy. That means mediation in terms of resolution is preferred rather than going to the court and focusing on prosecution. The third dimension that we find at our end is the lack of awareness and support. Victims usually do not know what are the legal rights they have, what are the legal remedies that they can use. There is no access to legal aids or proper shelters, and there is also fear of retaliation, especially from in-laws, or abandonment by own families that the girls see if they actually go ahead and move towards prosecution. Such is the situation in our country. And at this very time, we have multiple laws which are in place. There have been judgments from Supreme Court which talk about this, that it is a horrendous crime, but still law has not been able to eradicate dowry from our country. My question to you here is, what can be done so that this practice is actually eradicated in totality, in finality, where we are planning to become a developed economy? We are not kept back in social indicators by practices that shouldn't have existed in the very first place.